So let me take you back. It was 10 years ago. And as I said, when I moved to Kansas City, I was receiving all of these words. My hunger for God was just ever increasing. I was just aware that there was so much more out there. And I wanted to know it. I wanted it to be in my experience. I would hear Mike preach on Jesus, and I wanted to know Jesus in that way. I was reading books from saints, and as I was reading these books of saints, I was going, they knew Jesus in a way that I don't know him. And this longing was just erupting in me. But meanwhile, I was in a program where I was having to give all of the hours of my day from 6 in the morning till late at night. I was answering phones. I was doing all of these busy things, and my hunger was ever increasing. And through a series of things that had happened, I felt like the Lord wanted me to end this program that I was in, to stop early, and to go seek him and do something different. So I had all of these leaders that were over me, and I thought that they would love my announcement when I went and told them that I wanted to end this program early, and it was for really noble reasons. I wanted to go be with God. Well, no, that's not exactly what happened. My leaders were not happy with me, and what happened was it started this series of these meetings with all of these leaders. Now, you got to know, I'm 19 years old, and I'm having meetings with these men that were at least twice my age, if not older. Suddenly, I went from being the favorite in the program to this rebellious, awful person. And I would have these meetings with them, and they would just rail against me. And I'm going, what is this? I just want to leave the program early. It's not a big deal. And I'm freaking out. And I go to all of these meetings, and I just am getting sick. It was so hard. I don't like this. They're rejecting me. They're accusing me. This is horrible. It had been 2 weeks of all of this. I get a call from one of the leaders, and they say, if you come in today, we are going to have our final meeting with you, and then we're going to dismiss you from the program. And so I'm going, oh, good. One more meeting. I can do this. And so I go in to the office, and all of the wives are there too. So I have all the leaders and all of their wives. And women, we can be vicious, can't we? These women were not so nice. They're all back in this back room, just conspiring against me. And I'm sitting at this front desk, and I am truly freaking out. I am sobbing. I am journaling. Jesus, help me as I die. I'm 19 years old, and my ministry has not even begun, and I'm forever failing, and I'm shaking. This is awful. And then in comes Mike Bickle and my sister. And the horror that came over me. I'm going, why is Mike invited to this meeting? I am about to be so humiliated. I can't fathom that I'm going to be humiliated at this level in front of the servant of the Lord, Mike Bickle. God, I thought my day could not get worse. It just got so much worse. I'm going, oh no, Mike, I'm really not as bad as they're going to tell you I am. I don't know. Oh, I was feeling all those emotions. So they go on back to all of the men and women conspiring against me. And then finally someone comes out and says, you can come back now. And so I go back to this room, and they're all seated there. And Mike says, okay, first, before we start this meeting, he says, I want us to go around the room, and I want each one of you to tell what you have against her. And I'm going, oh no. I just met with each one of these guys personally. I know what they're going to say, and it's not pretty. And I'm going, oh no. So here he has this notepad, and my sister is seated right by him, and I'm going, what is he going to do? What is he writing down? And as each one of them, they would just say these things and just rail against me. It was awful, and I'm sitting there, and I'm just sinking as one by one They just say all of these things against me because I want to leave this program early and I'm now the most rebellious person. And then after they're all done, it took forever. After they're all done, he went through each one of all of the accusations. And one by one, he proclaimed my budding virtue. He proclaimed the truth of how Jesus saw me. And he says, you say this about her, but God says this. God says this. God says this. And in that moment, I felt for every lie, for every accusation, I felt the truth of how God felt about me. It was a stunning moment. How did this go from my absolute worst day to probably the best day of my life? Really, Jesus, is this really how you think about me? And he says, oh, you're this, you're this, you're this. He went through all of these things, and then he started naming things to each one of these leaders about what they had been doing. It was a very powerful moment in my life. The reason I want to share this with you today is because this is what launched me into saying yes to the fasted lifestyle. I left that day thinking that, like Mike shared in one of the sermons, I was going to go from glory to glory. Here we go. This was so good. I was vindicated. Jesus loves me and he thinks all of these wonderful things about me. Little did I know that what he was doing was he was giving me courage to embrace the Sermon on the Mount. From that day, I went and I got an apartment where I studied and I prayed and I fasted and I entered into a life of voluntary weakness.